Welcome back to my channel. My name is James and I'm a software developer and also a tech YouTuber. So today I'm going to be talking about one of the major reasons why software developers become confused or become frustrated along the line or later on in software development and start thinking about giving up. So one of the major reasons why this happens is because they usually do not learn the basics of software development or the basics of a programming language. For example, in programming language or in any programming language rather, let's say Python for instance, there are basics, syntax, there are conditions that you need to learn before you start taking up projects. So most of these upcoming software developers usually want to start building the next Facebook or the next WhatsApp or the next Telegram or Amazon without learning and mastering the basics. So one of the major ways to master the basics is by repetition, learning something and doing it over and over and over again, applying it. You don't learn something by just watching tutorials on YouTube and writing it down maybe on your jotter or on your diary and you assume that you have learned it. No, that's not how it works. You master it by doing it over and over and over again. I'll take myself for an instance. When I was a front-end developer, working with HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So and I built websites, basic static websites for like 2 years. I started learning front-end development. I started building basic websites, static websites since 2020. I built it till around 2022 before I stopped along the line. I stopped because of some challenges along the line, but I later started again. So now I transitioned into back-end development just to learn. Not that I was not dropping my knowledge or whatever I've learned in front-end development, but I just wanted to broaden my horizon. I wanted to learn some, I wanted to just master it, and maybe along the line I would dabble into full stack development. So I started learning Python. Initially I wanted to go for Node.js as the back-end language, but I just felt like I vibed with Python more than any other language. So I just loved Python, so I chose Python and I started learning Django, which is a back-end framework for building web applications. So when I started learning Django, it was new to me, obviously. There was a lot of things I needed to learn. So with my knowledge in JavaScript, which is a programming language for scripting websites and web applications, like the front end of web applications, I used the same knowledge I used in learning JavaScript to apply in Python learning. So what did I do different other than what others would usually do? Number one, I started mastering the basics. I started mastering for loops. And when I talk about mastering, I don't mean just watching tutorials and assuming that I've learned it. Whenever I watch a tutorial, let's say for example I watch a tutorial on for loops, I'll build stuffs that have to do with for loops, the concept of looping, for loops, while loops, the do while and the I don't really remember the last one, but I think these are the major loops we have in programming language, in software development rather. So when I was learning for loop, I built word counters, I built number counters, I built a lot of things around the concept of for loop. So it made me internalize the concept of looping. I talked about it on Twitter, on my Twitter handle. I talked about it at any slightest opportunity. I always talk about it. So that was one of the ways I used in embedding the for loop. Not that I did not have bigger projects to build that I was eager to build, but then I felt like it is better I just master these basics because it will help me in the long run. So that was what I did, and that was basically what I did in other concepts. So when I learned the basics of Python for like 2 to 3 weeks, I then went into Django framework. Started learning how to route URLs. I started learning how to, how to import, how to make use of templates. I started learning a lot of things, how to write models, class-based models and function-based models. That was what I was doing. Whenever I pick up a concept that I wasn't familiar with, I would learn it for like a week. I'll give myself 1 week. I'll keep on writing it over and over again. I can't remember. I built blog application. I built like 40 blog applications, just trying to master the basics of user authentication, and that is basically registering and logging in users to the database. When I was learning about how to connect the PostgreSQL to Django, I spent days just to master it. The same thing with other concepts too in Django, so that whenever I wanted to build, I would not start cracking my brain about what to do to build it. Forgive the noise you hear around. Sorry, this is not the studio yet. I'm just starting out. This is just my humble beginnings. So that's by the way. So the point there is that was what I did till I mastered most of the things. So most times I don't need to start thinking about it before I implement something in Django. I'm still upcoming. That is why I'm sharing my journey on YouTube here. But then I know that most of the things, whenever I get over a concept, I already know that whenever I want to apply that concept, I don't have to start thinking about it. It's just on autopilot. If I want to, authenticate a user, I already know that I don't have to think about it. If I just open my code editor, I'll start writing, and before you know it, the code is in front of me, complete, functional, without bugs. So that's the concept. Mastering and applying is just the basis. Then another way you use in mastering, any concept is by letting others know what you're working on, or whatever you are learning. You teach others, not necessarily teaching, but sharing. I'll call it sharing, because just like Austin Kleon in the book Show Your Work, if you are an amateur, you shouldn't be scared or ashamed of showing people your mistakes and your inconsistencies. You just try to be consistent, show people your mistakes, and before you know it, you become good at it. If you are consistent, he said something in the book that struck me. He said an amateur and a pro at a particular thing, there is a very huge difference, but the similarity there is that they're on the same spectrum. So it is just on a line, but the amateur is here while the pro is over here. So you have to be consistent till you get to the pro level. So one of the ways for you to get to the pro level and master concepts and become good at programming is by consistently doing that thing over and over and over again. Do not feel like maybe you have learned it and you want to get over something. Even if you are building another application, maybe a bigger web application that's different from what you were building when you started out, at some point you still need to apply the same thing into what you are learning. So that's just it. So thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and if this is your first time to join my channel, you can hit the subscribe button and also like the video. Thank you so much. Peace. Thank you.